From Marbury v. Madison to Dred Scott v. Sanford to Bush v. Gore, it's easy to see that Supreme Court decisions and the justices that make them greatly impact American life. Under the leadership of Chief Justice Earl Warren, from the years 1953 to 1969, the Supreme Court handed down numerous decisions that expanded democracy and freedom and proved to have a profound impact on America. For his guidance of the Supreme Court in making such powerful decisions as Brown v. Board of Education, Loving v. Virginia, Gideon v. Wainwright, Engel v. Vitale, and many more, as well as his influence in helping to redefine the Constitution as a living document, Earl Warren deserves to join the Northfield High School APUSH Hall of Fame. Earl Warren's story begins on March 19, 1891, in Los Angeles, when he was born to two working-class Scandinavian immigrants. When Warren was young, his father, Matthias, a longtime employee of Southern Pacific Railroad, was blacklisted for joining in a strike. In search of work, his family moved to Bakersfield, California. It was the injustices suffered by his father that first gave Warren a sense that unfairness existed in the world and needed to be fixed. At the age of 12, Warren witnessed the trial of an outlaw rifleman that had killed the local sheriff. After that, he began to spend his free time in the county courthouse. It was there that he decided to become a lawyer. As his mother later recollected, at one time he thought of becoming a doctor. He thought a doctor could help people. He always wanted to do good in the world. But once he made up his mind to be a lawyer, he never changed it. It was through his strict mother and father, to which lying was a crime, that Warren developed strong morals and a sense of order and justice that would guide him throughout his life and career. In 1912, Warren graduated with a degree in political science from University of California, Berkeley. In 1914, he earned his JD at the UC Berkeley School of Law. In that same year, he was admitted to the California Bar and began doing legal work for various law firms. After the United States entered World War I in 1917, Warren volunteered for an officer training camp. After completing the 3-month program, he was sent to Virginia to train draftees. He remained there for the rest of the war before being discharged less than a month after Armistice Day. After the war, Warren served as a clerk of the Judicial Committee of the California State Assembly, then as the Deputy City Attorney in Oakland, California. In 1925, Warren was appointed the District Attorney of Alameda County, a position to which he'd be re-elected for 3 4-year terms. He quickly earned a reputation as a no-nonsense individual who fought corruption in government. He ran his office in a nonpartisan manner and believed in fairness in all legal proceedings. Warren caught the eyes of many as a district attorney, and in a 1931 survey was listed the best in the entire country. In 1938, Warren ran for the office of Attorney General of California. He won the primaries in all major parties and was elected without serious opposition. Once elected, he led a statewide anti-crime effort and supported anti-Asian policies. He also supported Japanese internment after Pearl Harbor. He would later come to regret and apologize for these actions. Running as a Republican, Warren was elected governor of California in 1942. Similar to his election to the office of Attorney General, Warren won all the primaries in the 1946 gubernatorial race, and was again elected in 1950, becoming the first and only person in California history to be elected governor for 3 straight terms. As governor, Warren modernized the California state government. He implemented many progressive policies, including public works projects similar to those of the New Deal, and increased spending in infrastructure and education. Warren's true impact on America, though, had yet to be realized. When Chief Justice Fred M. Vinson died suddenly, the recently elected Eisenhower chose Warren to replace him. Eisenhower saw Warren as a fellow moderate Republican that could appeal to both the left and the right. However, in the coming years, Warren would make numerous liberal decisions that would revolutionize America and the role of the court. Under Fred Vinson, and before the appointment of Warren, the court was split over the question of how much power the Constitution granted them. However, Warren's superb political abilities and leadership skills began to unite the court. Under the powerful leadership of Warren, the Supreme Court handed down decisions that revolutionized criminal procedure, vastly altered politics in state and local elections, brought new liberties to racial minorities, and greatly increased the freedom of speech and expression in America. Important cases decided by Warren Court include Brady v. Maryland, which established that the prosecution must turn over all evidence that might exonerate the defendant. Mapp v. Ohio, which established that evidence obtained through unreasonable search or seizure cannot be used in a court of law. Miranda v. Arizona, which established what we now know as the Miranda warning. Gideon v. Wainwright, which established the right to a lawyer in all criminal cases. New York Times Co. v. Sullivan, which established the actual malice standard for determining whether or not a press report was libelous. Brandenburg v. Ohio, which established that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech. Yates v. United States, which protected radical speech. Roth v. United States, which established a standard for determining whether or not material was obscene and unprotected by the First Amendment. Tinker v. Des Moines, which defined constitutional rights of students in United States schools. Engel v. Vitale, which ruled school prayer unconstitutional. Abington School District v. Schempp, which declared school-sponsored Bible readings unconstitutional. Loving v. Virginia, which invalidated laws prohibiting interracial marriage. Brown v. Board of Education, which effectively overturned Plessy v. Ferguson, which allowed for state-sponsored segregation. Baker v. Carr, which gave federal courts power in redistricting cases. Wesbury v. Sanders and Reynolds v. Sims, which established the one-man, one-vote principle in local and state elections. And Cooper v. Aaron, which established that states are bound by the court's decisions and must enforce them even if the states disagree. Landmark court cases are ones that establish new and significant legal principle or substantially change the interpretation of an existing law. Every single one of these court cases fits that description. In fact, of a list of all the landmark Supreme Court cases in United States history, more than 1 in 3 were decided by Warren Court. Many point to Brown v. Board of Education and its role as the beginning with the end of segregation in America as the most important decision handed down by Warren Court. However, Earl Warren himself believed that the redistricting cases were in fact the most important of his career. The redistricting cases examined districting in local and state elections. In many states, this heavily favored rural areas, and it was extremely disproportionate to population. However, the decisions of the Warren Court established the one-man, one-vote principle. This shifted political power to the urban centers and vastly altered politics in modern America. While it was the court as a whole that handed down the decisions, it was Warren's masterful use of his political skills that brought the court to the conclusions that they came to. And opponents of the decisions knew it. During his time as Chief Justice, there were numerous attempts to unseat him. Other critics of Warren claim that he exceeded the power granted to him by the Constitution. And while this is up for debate, what is not up for debate is Warren's deep impact on America. For his active role in ensuring equal protection of the law, freedom, and democracy for all Americans, Earl Warren deserves not only the nickname Super Chief coined by fellow Justice William Brennan, but also a spot on the NHS APUSH Wall of Fame. And so, next time you're not convicted based on illegally obtained evidence, or not told to sit elsewhere based on the color of your skin, or not being forced to pray in school, remember that we live in the America that Earl Warren created.